Have you ever felt a darkness that doesn't belong to you? A chill in the room, even when the sun is shining? There are battles not fought with swords, but with shadows, quiet curses whispered in the dark. Today, we journey into the unseen, the spiritual, the strange, the signs. Here are 7 chilling signs someone may be using witchcraft against you. Not to scare you, but to awaken you. Signs 1. The energy that isn't yours. There is a kind of weariness that makes sense, the kind that follows a long day's work, a difficult decision, or an emotional storm. It's the kind of tiredness that cradles you, that signals a day well spent, a soul exercised in the necessary battles of life. But then, there is another kind of exhaustion, one that creeps in when you have no reason to feel tired at all. Your body is fed, your mind uncluttered. And yet, your bones ache like they've been carrying a mountain you do not remember climbing. This kind of tiredness doesn't come with understanding. It lingers like a shadow in broad daylight, like smoke from a fire you never lit. You wake up already defeated, as though sleep was never rest, only a brief negotiation with something heavier. You find yourself unable to focus, unable to smile from the heart, unable to feel yourself in your own skin. It's not sadness exactly, nor is it depression in its clinical form. It's subtler, slippery. It evades definition because it was never meant to be part of you. You begin to question your health, your hormones, your habits. You retrace your steps. Did I overwork myself? Is something wrong with me? And yet, every answer leads to a dead end, because the drain isn't coming from inside you. It's pulling at you from somewhere else, as if invisible strings are tugging, steadily, hungrily, unraveling your life thread by thread. Your energy is leaking, not into the ground, but into someone else's intention. There are people who don't argue in front of you, don't raise their hands, don't curse with words. Instead, they sit quietly and will your downfall in silence. They direct thoughts at you like arrows. They summon forces they barely understand, invoking energies not meant to be toyed with, all in the name of envy, revenge, or control. And slowly, your light begins to dim, not because you're failing, but because something or someone is feeding off of what was once yours. And the strangest part? You feel it. Somewhere deep, you sense it, that your soul is being visited, siphoned, not all at once, but gently, methodically, like a thief that doesn't want to wake the house. Signs 2, shadows in the night. There is a sacredness to sleep, a retreat, a return, a place where the soul loosens its grip on the world and finds sanctuary in dreams. But what happens when even that refuge is no longer safe? When your own mind becomes a theater of horror and the night no longer heals, but haunts? It begins subtly. One restless night here, a strange dream there. But then the dreams begin to follow a pattern. Not random, not nonsensical, but disturbingly vivid. You see faces twisted in anger, voices whispering from corners you can't see. You wake up in the dark, gasping, your heart pounding like it's trying to escape your chest. These are not the dreams born of your fears. They don't reflect your thoughts, your regrets, or your life. They are foreign, alien, like someone else has taken a paintbrush to your subconscious. You wake up exhausted, as though you've been running, fighting, screaming all night. And sometimes the terror doesn't end when you open your eyes. You try to move, but you can't. Your body lies frozen, helpless, while some unseen weight presses down on your chest. You feel it watching you. Something is there, but you cannot scream. You cannot breathe. You cannot even blink. And there, in that terrifying silence, a thought begins to bloom. This is not merely sleep paralysis. This is not science explaining away mystery. It feels targeted, intentional. You were fine yesterday. You slept peacefully last week. But now, Night after night, something returns. Not a dream, but a visitation. Not a nightmare, but a message. As if someone is sending shadows into your mind to make you afraid of your own rest. It isn't just about disturbing your sleep. It's about breaking you slowly from the inside out, taking the one place where you were untouchable, your dreams, and turning them into a battlefield. You may not remember all the details when you wake up, but you remember how it felt. A cold that wasn't in the room. A breath on your neck when no one was near. A whisper that sounded like it came from within your skull. Your body may recover by morning, but your spirit doesn't. Something stays with you throughout the day, a heaviness, a paranoia, a gnawing feeling that you've been touched by something that doesn't belong in this world. Signs 3. The dominoes of despair. There are moments in life when misfortune visits, a broken deal, a missed call, a job opportunity that slips through your fingers. These things happen. They are the ebb and flow of a life fully lived. But then something changes. What begins as coincidence becomes pattern. What was once a single crack becomes a fracture, spreading, splitting, consuming everything in its path. One thing goes wrong, then another, and another, until it feels like the entire world has turned against you. You try to explain it away. It's just a rough patch, you tell yourself. But rough patches don't last this long, and they certainly don't grow teeth. You lose a client. Then your car breaks down. Then a friend suddenly stops speaking to you. Then a family member falls ill. One blow might be manageable, but this is something else entirely. This is a string of catastrophes strung together so precisely, so viciously, it feels personal. As if someone, somewhere, has stacked the dominoes in your life with cruel precision, and is now watching them fall one by one. You start to question your choices, your faith, even your sanity. You replay your decisions over and over, wondering how everything you built began to rot from the inside. But the truth is, it doesn't feel like sabotage from within. It feels like sabotage from without, a tampering with the gears of your life by hands you cannot see. Opportunities vanish just before they materialize. Relationships twist into confusion and conflict without reason. You feel cursed, though you wouldn't dare say the word out loud. People may call it bad luck, a streak, a coincidence. But deep down, you know this is different. Because it doesn't just affect your plans, it sinks into your soul. You start to carry yourself like someone waiting for the next blow, flinching at life, mistrusting good news. The dominoes don't just fall. They bury you, under doubt, under frustration, under a heavy fog of despair that no logic can clear. And all the while, the question lingers like a foul taste in your mouth. Is someone doing this to me? Signs 4. The offering you never gave. It starts with something small, a strange object near your doorstep, a bundle of twigs knotted together in a way that feels too deliberate. A jar with something cloudy and foul-smelling sealed tight and placed near your window. You notice it, maybe even dismiss it at first. Kids playing a prank, you tell yourself, or someone's odd trash blew into my yard. But it lingers in your thoughts, because deep down you know these things weren't random. They were placed, chosen, left behind not by accident, but by intention. You begin to notice more. A circle drawn faintly in chalk near your car tire. A doll buried just beneath the soil of your potted plant. A symbol carved in the bark of a tree that no one has touched in years. These objects carry a heaviness, an energy that makes your stomach twist the moment you get too close. You don't want to touch them. Something in your instinct screams no. Not because you're superstitious, but because your body recognizes the spiritual signature before your mind can process it. And then you realize, these are not just objects, they are offerings, rituals, coded messages meant not for your understanding, but for your unraveling. Someone has made you the centerpiece of a spiritual transaction. They've laid something down in the physical world in order to stir the invisible. These items are tokens of control, gifts you never asked for, carrying intentions you never agreed to. They are symbols of ownership, placed with the quiet arrogance of someone who believes they have access to your soul without your consent. You try to reason your way through it. You clean them up, you throw them out, you ignore them. But the feeling doesn't leave. It clings to the corners of your home, to the edges of your sleep. Every time you pass the place where one of those offerings once lay, you feel it, a chill, a pull, a presence. The act of placing those objects was not just symbolic. It was spiritual trespass. Someone reached across the veil and left fingerprints on your reality. And even though the object is gone, the intent still lingers like smoke after a fire. Signs 5. Thoughts from a mouth that isn't yours. There comes a time when the voice inside your head no longer sounds like your own. At first, it's subtle, a passing thought, sharp, cruel, and unfamiliar. You shake it off, convinced it was just stress or fatigue speaking. But then it happens again and again. The tone is always the same, cold, biting, uninvited. You begin to notice that your inner world, once a safe place filled with your own reasoning and reflection, now feels like it's being broadcast from somewhere else, somewhere darker. These thoughts are not yours. You can feel it in the way they slide in like poison under the skin. They arrive unannounced, never asking permission. You might be sitting in silence, washing dishes, reading a book, and suddenly, there it is. You're worthless. They all hate you. Nothing will ever get better. The phrases are jagged, cruel, and surgically precise, cutting into your deepest wounds with words you didn't choose. The voice doesn't sound like anyone you know, yet it feels strangely familiar, like it's trying to impersonate you, mock you, blend in. And what's worse, you start to believe it. Slowly, subtly, you begin to forget how your own voice used to sound. Your self-talk, once a source of comfort or strength, becomes foreign. The encouragement you used to whisper to yourself gets drowned out by these intrusive declarations of doom and despair. You wonder if you're losing your mind, if this is what mental illness feels like. But somewhere deeper, beyond logic, you know this isn't madness. It's invasion. Because the thoughts don't just insult you, they aim to control you. They push you to isolate, to withdraw, to make decisions that sabotage everything you've worked for. They whisper lies that sound too tailored, too personal to be random. They echo things you've never said aloud, fears you never shared, as if someone somewhere is listening to you from a place unseen and using it against you. And even when you're surrounded by light and laughter, you still feel their presence like a film over your mind. These are not just bad thoughts. They are curses disguised as your own voice, and every time you entertain them, you feel yourself slipping further from the person you once were. Signs 6. The eyes of the wild. No. Animals are ancient witnesses. Long before humans built language to explain the unseen, the creatures of the earth already knew. They move through a world layered in energies we pretend not to notice. Their instincts are not limited to sound or scent. They feel vibrations, read the air, sense presence. A dog doesn't need to see danger to growl. A cat doesn't need a reason to disappear into the shadows. When something unnatural approaches, the wild does not argue, it retreats. You begin to notice it one morning. Your dog, once joyful and bounding, now stands still in the doorway, refusing to enter your room. Its tail tucks in, ears pinned back, as if something invisible is already inside. Your cat hisses at empty corners, fur raised along its spine. Birds scatter when you step outside. Even strays that once approached you with ease now give you distance, as if your presence has changed, as if you are marked. At first, you dismiss it as coincidence. Animals are unpredictable, you tell yourself. Maybe they're anxious, or it's the weather, or maybe they're just aging. But deep down, you begin to feel it too. that you're being avoided not for who you are, but for what clings to you. A spiritual residue, something heavy and foul in the eyes of creatures who cannot lie. You realize these animals aren't reacting to your words or actions. They're reacting to your aura, to something that doesn't belong in you, but has attached itself like smoke on skin. You find yourself watching them, your pet's eyes staring into corners you dare not look into, their bodies stiffening when you speak certain names or stand in certain spaces. They move with fear, not of you, but of what walks just behind you. The bond you once had with them feels thinned, as though something has driven a wedge between your soul and theirs. You don't know how to explain it to others. They'd call it superstition. But animals don't need superstition. They see what they see. And when they choose to run, hide, or growl in your presence, it's not because they've forgotten who you are. It's because something else has remembered, has. Signs 7. The watcher behind the curtain. There are eyes we see, and then there are the eyes we feel. That subtle sensation of being observed, even when alone, even when every door is locked and every window is drawn. It doesn't announce itself with noise or movement. It arrives quietly, like breath on the back of your neck, like a presence pressing gently against your spine. You stop mid-step. You glance behind you, convinced someone is there. But no one is. At least, no one you can see. It begins to follow you in the small moments, when you brush your teeth, when you check your phone, when you pause at the window without reason. You feel a tension just beneath your skin, a radar flaring from deep within your intuition. Not fear exactly, but awareness, primal, alert, ancient. As if something has stepped into your atmosphere, something that was never meant to be part of your world. It doesn't shout or harm, it just watches, patiently, intimately, like it knows you, like it's waiting. You may dismiss it as paranoia at first, a trick of the mind, but the feeling doesn't leave. It lingers through the hours, like a song you can't unhear. Lights flicker when you pass by. Curtains shift slightly without a breeze. Your reflection feels off, not wrong, but delayed, as though the image of you is struggling to catch up with the real thing. The air itself changes in rooms where you once felt peace. A stillness too dense, a silence too loud. You tell yourself not to be silly, but your footsteps quicken in hallways. You avoid mirrors at night. You leave the light on just a little longer than usual. Then come the whispers, not in sound, but in thought. Unformed words hovering on the edge of meaning, as if a conversation is happening about you in a language you were never meant to understand. It feels as if there's a veil behind the world, thin, trembling, and just beyond it, something watches from the other side. You can't see its face, but you feel its attention, sharp and deliberate. It's not a ghost. It's not a person. It's a presence, intelligent, curious, maybe even envious, that has found its way to you and made a home in your shadow. You become more careful with your prayers, more private in your pain, unsure of who or what might be listening. You close doors, not to keep things out, but to keep something in. You clean your space not for order, but to reclaim some sense of control. But no matter what you do, the feeling persists, that somewhere behind the curtain, just beyond the reach of your eyes, something stands still while you move and watches without blinking. If these signs stirred something in you, a memory, a fear, a quiet knowing, trust that inner voice. The unseen world is not always a distant realm. Sometimes it leans in close, not to frighten you, but to be acknowledged. And in that acknowledgement there is power. You were not made to be helpless. You are not without protection. What is done in darkness can be broken in light, but the first step is awareness, seeing what others dismiss, naming what others fear to speak. Your soul knows when it's being watched. Your spirit recognizes when it's under attack. Don't ignore the whispers. Don't explain away the patterns. And above all, don't give your power to fear. Take it back, piece by piece, thought by thought, light by light. Because the moment you awaken to the truth is the moment the darkness begins to tremble.